Mr. Alan Jones.
Thank you very much. May I just say it's absolutely irrelevant what political party you support, what religion you support, what geographical region in this country you come from. It's got nothing to do with any of that. This is a very, very serious engagement between those people who believe in the future of the country and maintaining the relevance of that future.
And as I said to Mr Wilkinson, the boss of APIA, the coal seam gas representative body, how does money make good a contaminated aquifer? The Queensland advice, which was in 2006 when they gave Santos and Queensland British Gas mining licences for coal seam gas in Queensland, Queensland's made a catastrophic error. And all the people involved politically should be, I better not say it, but they should be gotten rid of. We've taken evidence of contaminated aquifers. How in God's name do you make good a contaminated aquifer? Bakersfield in the US, ladies and gentlemen, is suing a local coal mining company over there for $2 billion because they've contaminated the local water supply. But how do you make good the water supply once you've contaminated it? The evidence we received from the CSIRO was that they tried to bullshit their way through, pardon my language, with the brief, but eventually I pulled them up and said, this is gobbledygook. What is the truth? The truth was that it could take 300 years to make good the aquifers that they're going to mine this coal seam gas out of. The Queensland Government's advice in this document, and Alan's got it, is that it could take 1,000 years. 1,000 years to make good the damage for a 35-year industry. I'd love to talk for longer, but I feel the more I know about coal seam gas, the worse I feel about it. Thanks.
There is not a person in this gathering today who can say without fear of contradiction that there is no licence to mine underneath my home. You can't get the information. Doesn't exist. You just find out when they start knocking on your door and charging in and saying, we have a right.
This industry, don't kid yourselves, from what I've gathered, will be the largest industrialisation New South Wales has ever seen. Tens of thousands of wells, spider webbing out across the landscape, compressor stations, work camps, pipelines, trucks. The Greens are not against all mining. That's something I'd like to say. We just believe it has to be responsible, and this industry, coal seam gas, is irresponsible. They've got no plan for how they're going to deal with the billions of litres of water. They call it adaptive management. It's make it up as you go along. And so until such times as they come clear and they can establish what impact they're going to have, as Bill has said, how they're going to make good, and I don't think they can, until such time, there should be a moratorium on this industry in the state. Thank you.
These are the experts, an Australian-trained hydrogeologist. She said the scale of these coal seam gas to liquid natural gas projects is unprecedented. She said, quote, groundwater issues will take years to emerge, by which time the industry has taken the profits, leaving the Australian taxpayer to deal with the liabilities. Quickly come up here, because this was this issue that terrified you. Just make that point about salt.
Thanks very much, Alan. A lot of the water that's extracted is seriously saline, and it is estimated in the advice of the Queensland Government for the one mining tenement in Queensland of 7,000 wells, it's going to produce 1 million tonnes of granulated salt. The salt from that, and I put this in the inquiry to the particular company, I said, what are you going to do with this salt? 1 million tonnes, 1.3 million tonnes of granulated salt. They said, oh, we're going to store it in an approved storage because we don't know what to do with it. There's no known use at the present time, although there is investigations. There is no such thing. It is the most toxic substance to agriculture. And I said, do you realise how big the storage will have to be? No. I said, well, salt, it's 806 kilograms per cubic metre. I said, it stores at 34 degrees slope. So you'll have to have a storage. If you could square stack it 11.3 kilometres long, 30 metres wide and 10 metres high, but because it's sloped, it'll have to be 26 kilometres long, the stack of salt, out of one mining tenement. The salt that is produced, sorry to interfere with Alan, but the salt that's going to be produced from the known tenements in Queensland is about 20 million tonnes.
That's it. I did want to share with you something that Bill Heffernan said to me on air, which I thought, and I've read this many, many times, a lot of people, it's a very, very good point. He said this: think 40 years is half a lifetime, he said, if we're lucky. Well, half a lifetime from now, he said to me on air, 40 years from now, 50% of the world's population will be poor for water, 1 billion people will be unable to feed themselves, 30% of the productive land in Asia will have gone out of production, and we're losing 1% of the world's agricultural land a year due to a series of reasons, everything from urbanisation to desertification. And he said, quote, we're putting trillions into defence and only a few billion into agriculture. And he ended by saying this to me: Alan, in the future, what's in your fridge is going to be far more important than what's in your garage.
Because what the Lock the Gate Alliance is doing is we've taken a very conservative policy, We want to protect our water. We want, especially underground water. We want to protect our farmland. We want to protect people's health from mining. We want to protect important natural areas and important cultural heritage. We want to protect all those things. You couldn't get a more conservative policy if you tried.
Nor will there be a licence, and can you imagine, but there's a licence from January 12 to mine for coal seam gas 5 kilometres from the Warragamba Dam. So, and the Somerset Dam in Queensland, and of course we're not far from here. Appin, there are applications for mining at Appin. There are already 250 wells at Camden. They were talking about mining at St Peters, on the fringes of Sydney. There will never ever be a social licence to mine for coal seam gas or anything else on prime agricultural land or in heavily urbanised areas. Full stop. That's not negotiable for anybody.
We're very serious about engaging with the community. We're very serious about people power. Throw politics aside, forget about it. I guess this unholy alliance that you can see here today proves that the foe is really a common one. It's beyond politics, it's beyond individuals as well, it's beyond egos.
And I do reiterate, and I'm confident of this, that if the moment you start to mine through that aquifer, there is no way you can do that without destroying it. The design of aquifers, particularly the Hawkesbury sandstone aquifers, is that sandstone works as a wonderful filtration plant. You know those little things you put on your kitchen top where you filter out your own water? This is a giant water filter that presents and gives us the purest water in New South Wales and wonderful water for Sydney. Now, you must be impatient, and you must write, and you must ring, and you must sign the petition, and it must be debated. And don't think that there is no politician in that parliament who is not on your side. There are many of us with communities exactly like this one who will argue the case and do argue the case very strongly.
Much has been said about the diversity of the groups and the diversity of the people who have come together for this rally. It's so disappointing that there have been many attempts to discredit us and to discredit you, many of whom have made extraordinary efforts to get here today. I'm not sure what Macquarie Street were thinking they would see when they look out of their windows and into this crowd, but I'm telling you that what I see is mothers and fathers and women and men and families and country people and city people, all who have put their differences aside to come today to rally to protect our land and our water.
And yes, we are here to support our country and city protecting our land and water. As State President of the Countrywomen's Association of New South Wales, I'm standing here together with members in support of this rally, Protect Our Land, Protect Our Water. Our CWA focus is from the community point of view. We're an association of 10,000 women, and we're speaking out today with the attitude of wanting to voice our concerns for the land and water that will be affected if we are not vigilant in calling on decision makers to be more aware of our concerns for the protection that is needed for the communities we represent, big and small, city and country.
I'm from Queensland, and a couple of years ago I went bush to investigate coal seam gas. And I said to farmers out there, we can't win this as purely a farmers' battle. And we can't win this as an environmental battle. What we've got to do is bring the two together. Bring farmers and environmentalists, city and country together.
Somewhere in New South Wales we can grow great quantities of just about anything. But the sustainable production of the farms of New South Wales doesn't depend on the quality of our soil. It doesn't depend on it being hot enough or cold enough. It doesn't depend on it being steep enough or flat enough. It depends on the availability of water. It is a matter of physics and not of opinion that this depressurisation will affect the whole groundwater system, because like the metaphorical apple that fell on Sir Isaac Newton's head, groundwater flows under gravity downhill. How long will it take for these changes to be substantial? We don't know. How extensive will they be? We don't know. One thing we do know is encapsulated by Dr. Richard Evans, Principal Hydrogeologist of St Cleant Merchant. He said, "There is no free lunch here. Every litre of water you pump out of the ground reduces river flow by the same amount.